And welcome to Game Changer. This is a show where I get into your safe. And sometimes, people ask me to take a look at the safe and come up with ideas on what they could do differently. So we're going to very quickly cover a few areas of this, the safe before I look at other things. First up, we're going to take a look at finances. You've done pretty well as a club. This season, you lost last season 14 million, this season 5. You're playing the Serie A. Right, Serie A doesn't have a lot. There's not a lot of money in terms of television budgets, so you want to be trying to get yourself into a position where you are doing well and financially. And really, the only way I found that to be viable in the Serie A was to be a selling club. I'd sell all my talent as quickly as I could. The moment they become nice, big, and famous, I'd sell them. So I developed tactics that would do that for me, and essentially, I gear myself towards playing what I call my money spinning tactics. And one of my money spinning tactics is actually the 4-3-1-2. So if I were looking at trying to create a team that is going to, I'm going to turn players into goal scoring machines, I create a very simple 4-3-1-2. And chances are the 4-3-1-2 will still play quite well. I'll probably use something like this, and very quickly this will become a half decent 4-3-1-2. This guy could be a shadow striker on attack, or he could be an attacking playmaker on attack. One of the two, doesn't really matter. Both. I mean, when I do this, I'm literally creating a shadow striker. So if you don't want to do that, then just pick a AM on attack. If you want to copy this is the setting. If not, choose the shadow striker. Here, I'll probably go with close down more. And here, I'll do the same, mark tighter, pass it shorter, more risky passes. I'll remove this. Now, this is going to be interesting. Both these roles are extremely dangerous because they can always create passes into space. For example, I might want to play on overload. How would I do that? Then I look at this position and I go, okay, I want to play overload eventually. So I'll tell this guy to do this. So he doesn't play those kind of crazy passes. Now, I could choose to do this, and this would tell the player here to use his decision making. But when I go on overload, he will start playing risky passes. Here on the left, we got close down more, mark tighter, tackle harder. Once again, what do I do with this guy? Now, it really depends on the kind of style of play I want to create. It's very important to understand how your team instructions are going to play a part. Here we're shorter passing across the whole pitch, which is what you set up. But again, your tactics got a very high defensive line when we came in. I probably, if I wanted to create something for the future where I might think about, okay, I might go into a 4-3-1-2 someday. This is what I do. Now, shorter passing, tiki-taka style, doesn't really work sometimes. So I much rather tell these players, okay, to do something with the ball. Now, fullback support on the flanks, they're going to go wide. And the wider they go, the more they don't support your players. Even if you have strong three in the middle, it's much better to control possession of the ball. So your boys are still going to run wide with the ball. But here what we're doing instead is we are actually telling these boys, okay, there are two setups. I got one player here who will be told to do more risky passes, more direct. And I've got one player here who's going to be few risky passes, dribble less, shorter passing. Why the difference? Because here I got a poacher. He'll sling the ball over and around these players. And I've got one more player here on the left flank playing simple passes and working with the Carrirello. Now this Carrirello has got more direct, more risky passes, so he's going to sling it this way. So this is like a 4-3-1-2 I've created on the fly. But this is my money spinning tactic. Now, the reason why I've done this is because I noticed you have this tactic. You've got a 4-1-2. Now, this tactic was created as an asymmetric 4-3-1-2. Simply put, I want to make money. I want to sell my players and make shitloads of money. So here, this is an option. Now, when we go into tactics like this, whenever I play a game, it's about more than just winning games. It's about making my club financially feasible. So You got to think about your systems as well. I mean, where are you gonna, how are you gonna make money? Now, if I were to create this tactic, I know exactly where my money is coming from. These two guys, I'll hang them out. One season, the guy scores 40 goals, the other guy scores like 20 goals. Yeah, I can sell both of them. So I'm always looking for strikers. I'm always bringing them into the club. I'm always training them, and I'm always looking at selling them, especially if I'm in the Serie A, because Serie A, so you have to do that. And this tactic also allows us to have in the attacking fullback, the one that gets a lot of assists. So in this tactic, in your team, now the next step is actually to go out there and find out what can we do. Now, when I looked at your schedule, I noticed that you've been playing quite okay. But here, this defeat is very disturbing because how did you end up losing this match? Like, so this is a tactic you've been using. The weakness of this tactic is actually down this flank. Now, when the balls come this way, even though you have a ball-winning midfielder, he's not going to start bone crunching until the ball gets here. But if the ball gets behind him, it's over, and you're using a halfback who's going to sit quite deep in your own transitions, and this could isolate the play. Now, it's not a bad idea, but you need brutal acceleration on the right flank, but you don't. You only have 13 for acceleration. His positioning might be okay. His tackling is very average. His anticipation is only 10. His concentration might be good, but he's he just doesn't have the acceleration to get back into position if you've made a mistake. Now, we went into this. If I go into this game and I do the team analysis and look at Benevento's shots that led to the goal, because it's something that I always do, because I want to know how goals are conceded, or down the left flank or down the right flank. Here, as you can see, the ball goes out right. There's not enough time for the boys to close down because they're already here. This is the boys are sitting back, and you conceded a goal. So it came from an assist down the right flank. Then in another match, this is your fullback. This is your other defenders. Look at, we've got two here. They're pulling you apart. He gets away, but look what has happened. Our central defender is gone MIA. Right, so you got Vania here. Gets out there. It's over. This is going to be a goal, unfortunately for you. There's another thing that I noticed in that match, the highlight. You didn't win headers in the game. So if you look at our team report, squad depth, let's look at our tactic. You opted to use, one of your tactics opts to use a low block. Now, in order for us to use the low block effectively, we need to know whether our players can do the low block. This coach has got the highest judging player ability. So I turn to him and say, Mr. Coach, can you tell me what the jumping reach of my players is? 13, 15. That's not too bad. Vani is 14. Pietrangeli is 16. That's great, but his intelligence leaves a lot to be desired. So he doesn't know when to do. Basically, he's got very bad teamwork, very bad work rate. He can't read the game to save his life. So we got a problem with this boy. Now, it's great. He's young. He can develop. So what do we do with him? We make sure that his development is in line with all of this. So we got central defender. Yeah, that's not too bad. Well, how do you improve work rate? Now, I notice your training follows a clock. What I mean by that is that you train players across the season. Now, it's already April. The season is well underway. We've gone halfway through the season. Please come off match tactics. You need defensive positioning. Okay. We're playing Real Madrid, so you definitely don't want to do match tactics anymore. There's no point. What we can do when we have low work rate in our team is to do fitness training. Fitness training becomes extremely important. Fitness training also is the only training that improves your work rate. So now we've got this team. We've got all these players. The Cole can't be a wing back on attack. So this is the problem that we have. The Cole's acceleration is only 14. Position is only 14. We got Vania here, whose jumping reach is 14. We got Pietrangeli, whose jumping reach is 16, but his intelligence is very low. So we've got a halfback here, who's going to come back, and then you've got these two players that are not too bad. Then we've got then we're looking at the guys on top. We got How Felix, who's not too bad, who can play as a playmaker. in this position, but he's injured. We got Rui Batista, who's an intelligent central defender, but he can't jump to save his life. Hopefully he gets better with time. Unfortunately, he's not available. We got Rodri, who can play in midfield as a defensive midfielder or holding player, playmaker. Is very versatile. But in this tactic, our problem is going to be against Real Madrid. We're playing Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are going to come at us. So what do? We need to make sure two things happen. A, we're not too deep. How do we know Real Madrid is coming at us? First, they're a great team. Then we look at this. They're playing with two attacking wing backs, overlapping very high up the pitch. They're going to leave gaps here. We might be able to take advantage of them, provided we can win the ball. So we got De Cole here as a wing back on attack. So for the match against Real Madrid, I'm not going to ask him to be too deep. He's going to be a defensive midfielder on defend duty. Now, I don't even think we're going to win this game. I'm going to be very, very honest. So what we're going to do is we're going to clog up midfield. We got a central midfield attack. We can leave that role in. Although I much prefer having a box-to-box midfielder on attack here in this position. And ask him to get further forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this guy into a... No, we're not going to turn him. Okay, let's not do it because there's too many things going on in this save, and we don't have a lot of players that are going to go up. I'm using wing backs on support here so that we will try and close down high up. We give them a bit more support. Second thing I'm going to do here is sit narrow, cut inside with the ball. Why are we sitting narrow? Because I want these boys to work with the DMs, work with midfield and get the ball to them so that we can recycle possession. All right. We got a 4-3-1-2. I mean, I like the 4-3-1-2, but these are the players that we have. And now, who are we going to play in this position? This position has got to be balanced, passing, vision, decisions, and off the ball. So we've got this player here who's not that bad. So we're going to turn Balik and we're going to ask him to play here. Now we come to these two positions. Now, here we go into... There's only one thing that we want in our attackers. Right, we want them to break away and score a goal. So if you go to your squad, we go to the my attack filters. All I'm looking for is this acceleration. We got Guidici's acceleration is 16, breaks away 16, 17. This guy is immediately the advance forward on the right. Okay. Now, the second position is critical. The second position is about creating those chances. So the player has to have a pass on him. So we've got here passing, vision, decisions. Passing, vision, decisions, not too bad. Now this guy is an MALMC. Okay, I'm going to read. If I was the guy, no. You don't want him to be. We're turning him into a deep line forward and support. And yeah, we don't need him as a Mazala. Okay, we need him as a striker right now because you're running out of players. We got this guy who's on loan, passing. His composure is not good, right? This is the reason why I don't want him. His composure is not good enough to be a playmaker. So you putting him out on loan is not a bad idea. We either play Laranga or we play Vittorio Paragini. It's one of these two players. Now Laranga has got decent acceleration. What we're going to do is we're going to tell him to play as the playmaker. We got Balik here. Balik can be on the bench, and we're going to use Paragini in this position. So, still not ideal because João Felix is actually the best player, but he's not available. So at the back, you have a problem. You have three tactics that you're looking at. You're looking at Karamba, low block. You're looking at the asymmetric, and you've got this. We've created a 4-3-1-2. Now, this tactic, the low block, is not viable for your team because your boys can't play the low block. If they play the low block, you're in trouble because none of them can handle crosses into the box. Maybe against weaker sides in the Serie A, you can play the system, but against good teams, it's not a viable strategy because you're not going to be able to deal with crosses. Right now, I'm going to change my plan because I've been inspired by two things lately. One is the World Cup, and So what we're gonna do now? Totally, I'm a nutter. Okay, we're gonna do something very different. Okay, thank you, Iceland. We're inspired by you in today's game. We are going to go strikerless. Yes, we are going strikerless because of Iceland. So, and we are, since we are playing against the team known as Barcelona, who are we are playing against a team called Real Madrid, right? So we're gonna have a few attacking roles here. We're gonna attack roaming playmaker. You'll be a wide midfielder on attack. You're gonna be a winger on attack. Carrillo. You are gonna be a wingback on attack. In fact, you're gonna be a fullback on attack. You're gonna be a fullback on support. So we're gonna play a system. I'm gonna change your tactic around so that we are playing against Real Madrid with this system. Now this guy is gonna go down the flanks. This guy is gonna go down the flanks. We're gonna turn him into a playmaker. He's gonna no, we don't need you to move into time because these two guys are gonna be doing all that work for us. All right, so we got these midfielders and defenders. Whether or not this is the right thing to do, I don't know, but we just want to have fun. Okay, so Giovanni Terrani is 86%, but they want him. They recommend that we use him. We got Vittorio Paragini here, so I'm going to use Paragini instead of Terrani and play him on the flanks. We also have the option of using one of your wingbacks because your wingbacks are incredibly fast. We're going to use him instead. So Paragini is on the bench. Then in midfield, we got Rodri as a Carrillo. We got Grassi as a roaming playmaker. And we've got Polo on the right as a wide midfielder on attack. We've got Decole here. So, yes, we are going to go with a... we're going to go... and play a system inspired by Iceland. I mean, at least it is this system. Yeah, Iceland inspired me with this system. So we're going to play with this system for the match against Real Madrid. However, the strikers' positions haven't been changed yet. So we've got Balik as a shadow striker. No, we're going to use Guidici as a shadow striker. And we're going to use Paragini as the other shadow striker. So we're going to have two shadow strikers, and both of them. The only problem is Guidici doesn't have very good passing. So you got Laranga. Okay. This should be interesting. Let's find out whether or not the boys can. So these are the players that we're going to use. It's a 4-4-2, strikeless. We're going to ask these players to... basically, they're just going to do what they're doing at the moment. Mark tighter, tackle harder. Mark tighter, tackle harder. The guys on the flanks, we're going to ask them to close down more, mark tighter, tackle harder. Close down more, mark tighter, tackle harder. Dribble less, shoot less often. More risky passes, he can play them down the flanks. And here we got close down more direct, close down more at the back. No closing down more, no tackle harder. Few risky passes, sit narrower, cut inside with the ball. Close down less, and here close down less. Okay, so we've got our player set up. Let's see if, I mean, your system could work against Real Madrid, but we want to make it really hard. We want to try and get an away draw using, because you have the players actually to play a strikerless 4-4-2. So we just want to make it hard for the AI to create chances. Our first game against Real Madrid was always going to be a tough ask because Real Madrid are a lot better than us. And we quickly found out that the biggest problem for our striker system was actually your best striker. He's got very bad passing and he gave up possession in a very dangerous spot, gave Real Madrid the early lead, 1-0 ahead. So I immediately took him off and put on Laranga, and the immediate insertion of Laranga, the next highlight actually was us equalizing, Laranga pulling through from deep inside our half and running at the Real Madrid defense to give us the equalizer. Unfortunately for us, we also found ourselves on the end of a red card because Laranga himself, I think he might have a high dirtiness rating. He got himself sent off. We were down by a man, and we're not very good at set pieces because we don't have the height in the box. We gave up a corner, and unfortunately for us, disallowed goal. Real Madrid beating us 2-1 on the day. For our second game, we're going to travel away to Juventus. Now, I started badly in this game because I made a few fundamental mistakes. The first thing I think we shouldn't have been doing, we shouldn't have been playing on fluid. But, you know, it gives us a lot of defensive solidity. Problem was, I was also playing on a pushed-out defensive line, which is something that I usually recommend people don't do when they play strikerless systems because you're going to ask for trouble. And we quickly fell behind 2-0. So the next thing I did was I went to play on a normal defensive line. We changed our shape to structured so that we could get a bit more vertical space from our attacking duties. We managed to get ourselves out from that hole. We clawed ourselves back from 2 goals down, and we leveled the match 2-2. Unfortunately for us, it wasn't enough because eventually we got a player sent off again, and we were down by a man, and we fell behind to a set piece goal once again. There's lots of things you can learn from after 2 games. So for our match against Real Madrid, first things first, Laranga couldn't play. He had a red card. I like the strikeless 4-4-2 because when you play against a 4-2-3-1, it isolates those 2 central midfielders. In this case, it was Cruz and Casemiro. The backline is going to have a very hard time finding Cruz and Casemiro, which is something that's cool with the strikeless system. There was something that was bugging me at the start of this game because there was the last piece that I realized from the last game, which was the Carrillo. Once I tweaked the other settings, the Carrillo, I wanted to change him to a central midfielder on attack and push him high up the pitch so he can support the winger on attack, which is something that I didn't do in the previous game. And I realized that we can afford to have 3 attacking duties in midfield. We only really have a roaming playmaker to worry about. We put so much pressure on them that we should be able to do okay. So we got off to a decent enough of a start. We already rocked the upright within the first 2 minutes of the game. And then it didn't take us very long to open accounts. Good work from our attacking group of players. Guidici, at least he makes short passes really well. And then we managed to get out wide to our winger on attack. And Balic coming into the box to score the goal. In fact, in this game, our strikers didn't score a goal. All our midfielders did. Our second goal came off a counter-attack. Real Madrid failed in their attack, and our players moved the ball quickly through the lines. We got it down the flanks. They dropped in a cross, and another central midfielder went on to give us a 2-goal lead in this game. Now, your striker Guidici was making mistakes. I was already considering making a change, like dropping him for Paragini, and then Guidici does something really, really bizarre. He actually pulls off a phenomenal pass. Apollo played this out, and Guidici does this. A great pass out wide to give us another goal, makes it for 1 in the day. But this is where things get really interesting. Now, Guidici may have done okay with that pass, right? But his match ratings actually skyrocketed to 6.9. At this point in time, I was thinking, yeah, cool, he's not doing too badly. But you got to keep an eye out on him because his match ratings did not stay at 6.9 for very long. So what we had to do at that point was to remove Guidici and bring on Paragini. The change proved to be a good one as we nullified another attack from Real Madrid worked the ball from our keeper to Paragini. He couldn't win the header. It was fine. Balic did well enough to win the ball back, and the boys went through their passing routine once again as they ripped through Real Madrid, and we scored what proved to be the 5th goal of the match. We won this game 6-4 on aggregate on the day, and I was pretty pleased with how the whole match turned out. The only thing I'm concerned about is Guidici. Now, Guidici is a very good striker. He just needs to develop over time. His passing needs to improve. Once his passing improves, he's going to be a really, really good striker. So that's what I would do. I would focus my development on making sure that he can pass the ball really well. We started out with the defeat against Real Madrid, pulled off a draw against Juventus, and then finally the match that mattered really. We beat Real Madrid to progress to the semi-finals. Now, the tactic we're using, the most important thing to remember is that we evolved. The tactic evolved over time, and we settled on a defensive line that's normal, which literally gives us a bit more space to play in. And the other thing that we did was we changed this central midfielder to a central midfielder attack. We now have at least 5 players on attack duties, which shouldn't be a problem for us. It actually helps us because we are playing a strikerless system, and this gives us a bit more players in transition into the final third. Now, you can do all kinds of things with this. You can go control structured as well. You can play on defensive structured as well. So think about it, defensive structured. What does that do? Those guys on attacking duties are going to have a higher mentality. They're gonna transition a bit earlier in your transition. So it's something that you might want to think about when you're making your own tactics. I hope you found the information in today's video useful. If you guys have any questions, you can always look me up on Twitter at Bustthenet or addictedtofm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for making it possible for these shows to be available to the community. So you guys take care, have a good one. I'm off to another round of World Cup matches. Bye-bye.